Hi everybody, Jane here, and today we are talking about Confessions of a Domestic Failure by Bunmi Laditan. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that even close to right, so my apologies. So I had not planned on reading this book initially, however, I found out one of the local libraries has a book club that meets at a time I can actually go. And since I'm a night shifter and generally sleep during the day and then do the parenting thing second shift, finding time to go to a book club was not easy, but I wanted to go. So I read this for the book club and I went. The book club has already happened, and I will say having the discussions with the book club maybe changed my opinions a little bit about the book. So I will make some comments that were made from the book club where appropriate. However, overall, this book was a good read for me. It is about a girl named Ashley who is a mother to a 9-month-old baby, and she had been in the executive world, and she decides after her daughter is born to stay home and take care of her. But she's kind of not succeeding very much, at least as she's looking at it as a mother. Her house is a mess. She's not doing a lot of interaction with her kids. Basically, she gets up, she has coffee, she puts her kid on the floor, she's exhausted all the time. Her kid kind of plays around, she feeds her, and just kind of spends her days mothering this child. But she feels like, things aren't working as well in her life as they could be. And then there's this lady named Emily who is a vlogger about parenting stuff. And she has a contest where she's going to basically whip 12 mothers into shape. Share her parenting secrets with these 12 mothers. So Ashley enters the competition and wins. And at the end, she'll get to spend, I think it's a week at Emily's mansion, or maybe a weekend at Emily's mansion, getting like one-on-one training from her. And so this book is about basically like the stuff that Emily talks to her and the other girls to do. And since you can probably guess from the title, she's not very good at any of it. This book was a 4 out of 5 for me. It's very entertaining. It is very much written like chick lit. If you like chick lit, like the Shopaholic books, that's the kind of tone of this book. It is a little bit over the top, which I think it's meant to be for the humor, but I know in book club a couple of the women felt like it was very unrealistic for that reason. I relate to it because being a busy mom is hard, and I'm definitely a domestic failure. My house is never really all the way clean. The laundry and dishes are never really all the way caught up. My children did not get organic baby food, and I hate crafts of all kinds. If it is going to make a mess, I don't want to do it. So will people please stop buying craft kits for my kids for birthdays? Thank you very much. Anyway, but it did seem in book club they mentioned that it was a little overdone. This woman is was an executive. She had a professional job, and now she's raising one child who is 9 months old, and she is struggling very extremely. And I don't at all want to take away from anybody's experience, because I don't know what anybody's experience was. But I felt like maybe by 9 months she'd have things a little more under control than she did in the book, because it's really bad and out of control. And I felt like she wasn't as organized to try to get it taken care of. Like, she liked Emily's solutions and stuff, but she wasn't doing a lot of stuff on the back end to try to sort through it. Also, she honestly probably shouldn't have been a stay-at-home mom. Like, again, the character's meant to be over the top. And it's not that she doesn't love her daughter. I think she would have done better with a daycare and a nanny and a break from her kid. So there is that it was a little over the top. She also doesn't have a lot of help from her husband. There's a scene, obviously, when she goes to Emily's mansion at the end of the book. He has to take care of the kid, and there's some comic moments where he's basically calling her up, being like, man, this is harder than I thought. I really didn't appreciate that, because I felt like dads get a bad rep sometimes, especially because most dads in modern day are involved. Even if they work, they at least change the occasional diapers and help. And Ashley's husband didn't help at all in the early part of the book, or not very much. And I feel like that was part of the reason Ashley was having the problem she was. And I get the complications of that. Her husband owns a business and works full-time and is the breadwinner, and they have kind of some complications in their relationship because of that. And in our household, my personal household, my partner is the stay-at-home parent, and I'm the working parent. I still am very much involved with caring for the kids, even when they were babies. When I would come home, he'd been on the clock all day, and I knew it, and so I made sure I did as much help as I could around the house and with the kids, because I think that's important. And I felt like her husband wasn't helping, and that was a big part of the problem with the book. And I get a little tired of that plot line, because a lot of the women in this book have husbands who aren't really helping or stepping up as much as they should be. And in modern society, like, I think men help a lot more than they have in the past. And I would have liked to see him, like, I didn't mind that he was like, man, this is harder than I thought. But what was harder was he was changing a blowout diaper. And, like, are you really telling me your baby's 9 months old and you've never changed a blowout diaper? Like, that's a problem. Like, not, oh my gosh, I spent the whole day with the baby and I'm bored out of my head, and, you know, every time I clean anything, she makes a mess. The realistic stuff that I could see someone who's not been a stay-at-home parent realize is hard, not just, man, look at this blowout diaper. So that was a kind of complaint that we talked about in the group, that, you know, the dad wasn't as helpful. And these women that I was in the book club with, a lot of them were older. I was the youngest one in the book club. And, you know, even a generation before, these women are grandmothers. And they said, you know, their husbands helped. Their husbands changed diapers and everything like that. So I think that men just kind of get a bad rap. I will say this book, like I said, it was fun to read and entertaining. And I think that's why I gave it the 4 out of 5 on an entertainment level. It didn't really go how I expected it to. I was okay with how it went, but I would have liked things to go differently. Emily, who is the one who is teaching everybody about parenting, she has a personal fitness trainer living in her pool house, okay? She has cooks. She has housekeepers. She has enough more money than God. I mean, not literally, but I mean, she has a ton of money and she can get the help. Of course, she's doing an amazing job mothering. Ashley is by herself. She's not getting any help except occasionally from her mother-in-law. And she's sitting there going, I want to be a domestic goddess like Emily. And it's like, well, you don't have all the things that she does. Of course you can be a domestic goddess when somebody else does most of the work for you. And so I would have like that was never really brought up, and I felt like that was one of the things that I was hoping for to be revealed. I was hoping for this book to be about, like, okay, there's this internet woman, and she's this book blogger, guru, mommy guru, and, you know, all of this stuff happening. And Ashley at some point to go, wait a second, this woman is rich and she has a heck of a lot more help than I do. And that is totally not at all where this book went. There were a lot of things in this book that didn't at all go how I thought they would be. And I didn't think it went in a bad place, but the place it went was kind of a letdown for me. I don't want to give that too much away, but it didn't really work for me. The other thing is Ashley, I don't want to say she's unlikable, because she's not unlikable, but she just makes really poor choices along the whole book. And I felt very frustrated with her, because I felt like she should have been making better choices and more reasonable choices. And again, a lot of those were plot point, meant to be over the top, probably meant for the entertainment value of the story. But I felt like a lot of those things could have been handled differently, because this book could have been a 5 out of 5 for me. I loved the author's voice. I loved how entertaining it was. I very much related to certain aspects of the frustration and exhaustion of being a mom. You know, I get that you're tired and every time you clean, there's more to clean. And, you know, on your days off or your days when you're just taking the kid to the park, sometimes yoga pants happen. You know, I understood and related to this book, which is why it's a 4 out of 5 for me. And I really had a fun time and it was funny. But I thought that if certain things could have happened differently, it could have been a 5 out of 5 for me. If the ending had been a little different, if the conclusions we'd reached about Emily and the big reveals had maybe been different or better done. Because that part, the whole part with her at Emily's mansion was kind of a letdown for me. Like, I thought we were building something and we were building to something, but it wasn't the something I thought we were building for or to, and it was kind of meh. And Ashley's decisions along the way kind of made me frustrated and want to shake her. And also, again, I'm a twin mom, so seeing one person who is a stay-at-home mom and can't keep her crap together as a stay-at-home mom when I have two, and some of this is so much more extreme than even I'm going through. And maybe she just didn't have the background, but she's supposed to be an educated executive. So again, I do think that it was maybe a little more over the top than it was right for me. I didn't dislike it. Some of the plot stuff didn't work for me. Characters were fun. Story was fun. This is a great, entertaining read, especially if you like chick lit, but don't expect too much out of it, I guess. The author, I think, was trying to make a point about parenting, and she made it, but I don't know if that was the right... If the story had been set up in a way that was the right point for this story. Expectations going in might just have been incorrect. Generally, my book club felt similarly. They weren't thrilled with the choices Ashley had made along the way. They weren't really sure that the reveals about Emily and everything worked really well. But I did enjoy this book. I did like Ashley. I could totally relate to the struggles of motherhood. I think it was meant to be over the top because it was very entertaining and it was funny and that part worked. But Ashley could have made better decisions as a character, and the big reveal wasn't really what I was hoping for. So that is Confessions of a Domestic Failure. We read it for book club. Overall, I enjoyed it. Overall, I recommend, especially if you like chick lit and if you're a mom and you want to read about all the complexities of being a mom in a funny way. My social media is below. Like, subscribe, and if you have comments about the book, if you've read it, feel free to leave your thoughts below. All right, this is Jane. I post videos when I can, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Talk to you next time. Bye.